taking it all. Diving deep into topics, we'll rise or we'll fall. Every episode's a journey, a ride through the maze. Join us on this path, let's ignite the blaze. So grab your headphones tight, let's go for a ride. With every spin and twist, we'll cut and run and hide. The Prime Directive, where the laughter's alive. Society's reflections, let's help each other thrive. Politics and culture, oh what a blend. Join on the journey, let's set the trend.
Okay, so welcome back to the Prime Directive. We were just having an off-screen chat there about some of our other topics we could talk about here, and the huge one we're talking about is AI, and just what we've seen. I'm
recently.
I'm a little bit older than you, just a little bit, just a month older. No,
it's a month and a half.
in plus some years, but
I never said that.
But no, what I've seen in my lifetime is just simply astonishing. If you would have told me when I was a kid that we would be on the verge of the cylons, I don't even know whatever way to put it, because I was kind of a Battlestar Galactica geek. But I mean, we are literally on the verge of the cylons. I would have said, "Oh, come on, that's a load of crap. No way. We're maybe a few 100 years in the future, 1,000 years in the future." Within my lifetime, to see these platforms coming online, I use one now with kids called Brisk, which allows me to do an AI-generated chatbot thing with kids on a lesson. That's astonishing. And it will determine whether or not the student has learned the learning objective, which you use your standards to come up with. It's astounding. It's astounding. Kids either love it or hate it, because some kids are kind of like, they don't understand that they're supposed to talk on task, on topic. Mm-hmm. So I, of course, failed because I'm always off topic. But other kids excel at that kind of stuff. And then now what we're seeing, like you were saying with your son, being able to talk in real time with a Copilot or Siri and her new platform.
Yeah, or what is the one for Google? Gemini.
Yeah. Bard. Maybe that one's already gone. Is Bard already gone?
I don't know.
And now with the quantum chips and the capability, if they were able to meld that stuff.
That's frightening.
It's just astonishing, because you're talking about every time that those AI things make they're not just, if I understand this correctly, because I was listening again to some more Sam Harris stuff, and he had some various, and Lex Friedman as well, just some of the AI experts that were out there, and they're talking about how it's exponential growth in learning by these systems.
Yes.
So it isn't like you and me fumbling through our lives in college, and it takes years to stumble upon some great wisdom. And I'm a chess player, so it's taken me 30 years of playing chess to at least get to like a 1200. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo. I'm so proud of myself.
I was going to say, that's much harder than me.
Little 1200 rating, I'm like, yay!
That's an accomplishment, which I don't have the patience for chess.
And here are these new systems coming online that even you just are in your phone, which can exponentially jump in levels. Like in the chess world, you can have just any computer chess by your hand now can defeat a grandmaster.
Yes.
And so, how do we deal with this? How do we maintain our citizenship? How do we maintain our humanity?
That's the bigger question. How do you maintain your humanity?
Yeah.
Right?
If all you're going to do is just head on to ChatGPT every time you need to write a paper, or every time you need to write a letter, or every time you need to do a job resume, or every time you do this or that or wiffle ball bat, what's real? What's real? Who's the real person? You go to a job interview, and anybody can create an incredible resume now, just going on to ChatGPT and type in what the requirements are and just have it do it and try to have the algorithm pull your resume, I guess, for you. But this is troubling. I read a story called The Fun They Had with my kids every year. And it was written by Isaac Asimov in the 1950s. And in this story, he writes about how children are learning in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And in the future, kids don't even have teachers. Kids just have this robotic screen that they just put their homework into, and it spits it back out at you. And they're like, they hate it. They can't stand it. They're smart because it does make them smart, and it has measured learning objectives, and it differentiates for their learning style and everything. But at the end of the day, they're like, we wish that we would have just gone to school with the kids and gotten socialized some, and skin your knee and learn how to talk with other people, diverse people, and been inclusivity with other people. And I wonder if, like you were saying earlier, that the machine doesn't end up running us. We stop giving the chat GPT the prompts, and now we're running around trying to fulfill what the machine has determined we should be doing.
Well, that's kind of like that meme that kind of implied that AI is doing the creative, thoughtful things that humans ought to be doing. And AI and all the robotic systems ought to be doing all the work so that we could pursue our own humanity, meaning our connectedness with others, to be able to learn new skills, to be able to live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
And we don't have that, because I feel that as amazing as AI is, it is taking away from our own ability to learn new things, which actually allows you to develop a brand new neural pathways on how to perform, whether it's playing an instrument or having your own level of creativity, imagination, care be brought out into the world.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's very, on the one hand, wonderful to think about all the ways that you might be able to use it to make life easier. But when I think about those consequences to our human spirit, our soul, if you will, that which just makes us what we are and has and led us through umpteen generations of humanity to make it this far, I don't know. Would we have survived the Ice Age if we'd been like, Siri, can you design me an atlatl to throw at a woolly mammoth? Would we have had that? Or Siri, could you teach me how to knock two stones together to make fire? We're the ones who have to go through the pain of doing it and
learning through failure.
And it took like 1 million years to get fired. It's like 1 million years.
Which, by the way, isn't that astonishing when you consider where we were just 100 years ago and where we are today? If you could go back just 100 years ago, I mean, don't worry about going back 500 years ago, because that would have been very dangerous to carry a cell phone right around that time. But just go 100 years ago.
Which?
Yes, exactly. Well, what was I'm probably going to be completely wrong on the year. It was 1918, the World Fair, where
World Fair. Right.
Nikola Tesla was showcasing. I think this was somewhere on the East Coast.
Okay.
I think it was the East Coast. It was New York, or it was one of the big cities.
Teach us in the interwebs. Or teach us in the comment section. Let us know.
Let us know. But he showcased a remote-controlled boat on a lake, and people were
freaking out.
Yeah. Because it was magic.
Yeah.
And wasn't it Arthur C. Clarke who said that sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic? It seems
like magic. And he's a great writer. I love the science fiction writers because they're so
prolific
and prescient and predictive of they can see. It's like they're like our seers of old, like
forward thinkers,
like the almost like the medicine men of the olden days. Like they're
like a shaman.
Yeah, shaman. There we go. That's exactly what they are. They're like society shamans. They warn and let you know of what's kind of like coming and get ready. At first contact and it's AI and
it didn't. And by the
HAL
way,
9000, Dave.
Well,
open the pod bay doors, Dave.
we're gonna nerd out on a lot of sci-fi stuff here.
I can't do that for you, Dave.
Oh my
God! One of the creepiest damn scenes ever. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. Just psychotic. You're psychotic, murdering bastard of an AI.
Oh my goodness, that reminds me of Alien.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver.
Oh yeah.
Mother.
Yeah, mother. Yeah. Oh, that was just a typed up machine too.
Yeah. That's right. Yep.
Wow. So.
But no, it is interesting. Wasn't the Nobel laureate the gentleman who is considered and deemed to be the godfather of AI, who recently decided to step back from his assignment, saying that we are now going down a very slippery slope, very potentially dangerous path,
Existentially dangerous. Right?
When someone like that tries to warn you, it's a good idea to at least pause long enough to. Do you know what it reminds me of? Reminds me of the famous line from Jurassic Park, where
should we do this?
Yes, it's like your scientists were so preoccupied whether or not they didn't stop long enough to figure out whether or not they should.
But now that we have, it's Pandora's box, right? Now that we've opened this, and now that just seems like a race. NVIDIA, Google, Apple, the largest gigantic companies in the world, right? They're in this arms race. If for all intents and purposes,
you could totally deem it to be as such
for the AI dominance. Microsoft as well, right? Microsoft now has theirs. They're releasing. I know that Michio Kaku, right?
Michio Kaku,
Dr. Kaku. He is the one that put it into perspective when I saw him just talking about some of the. Especially for the quantum chip.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, whoever gets that thing first, that's who's gonna, because that chip has the ability to solve problems we can't even conceive of yet.
Yes.
And so,
well,
I mean, it could lead to world peace, or it could lead to the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome or Furiosa or whatever. I mean, we could be in a very interesting time, my friend.
Well,
we're going to need things like Prime Directives to either build back from the rubble or to get us into space further and start traveling the stars together. I hope it's the latter and not the former, right? But
it's definitely something to consider, especially with AI, the energy consumption of AI. It's so significant. I think I read this somewhere. It equated that doing a simple Google search only uses about 10% of the energy that a comparable AI search would yield. So you use a significant amount of energy. So energy is going to be another thing that needs to be taken into consideration.
I wonder if they're going to get that
policy and how we're going to move into the future, which is also interesting because can you imagine a generative AI system that has the capability to operate at the quantum level with an unlimited resource such as fusion.
Like fusion reactors. I was going to say fusion
Can you
reactors.
Imagine?
Because I know that I've seen the beginning theoreticals of the fusion reactor.
Oh, they've already
plasma,
exceeded.
Right?
Oh, they've already
ignite the plasma so that and then you've actually got a small star. Right, it's a star. It's a star.
It's a star.
You're in the middle of
artificial star,
which is a star. That's astonishing to me that this is where we're at. And then think about this: if you could you explain to some like your son what is in that phone? Could you actually you'd
break it down?
Could break it down and be like, well, I think this is the battery.
Yeah,
but then could you create the cadmium or lithium that was? You'd be like, I don't. The glass, the plastic,
and it's not even regular glasses anymore. It's like whatever it is, the most resistant.
The microprocessors, right? That are nano processors. Yep. We can't even see them. You got to go under a micron. Telescopic, what are those
microscope?
But they're the ones that go further, micronoscopes or whatever. They're the ones that go
way
down.
Way deep.
You got to go way down so that they got the little transistors and stuff. Astonishing, just astonishing. I just
isn't it remarkable that just go back 50 years.
Yeah.
Forget going back 100 years. Go back 50 years.
Yeah,
and you showed up with something like
it's exponential. It's exponential. See, 100 years ago. 50 years ago, 10 years ago, just even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember phones when I used to have like a Nokia? I had a Nokia that was like this brick.
Yes.
It
old
would
bricks.
talk for like 30 minutes. And I was
Yep.
like, oh, 30 minutes? Now we're like, if it doesn't go for 30 hours.
You're like, what is wrong with your phone?
Yeah. Dude, get a new phone, upgrade.
Yeah.
Waste some more energy.
Which, by the way, can I just point out how interesting, oh my goodness, we could totally go into planned obsolescence. We could totally go into how modern society is attempting to outdo itself. And in the process of trying to outdo itself, we are undoing the very planet that we live on.
As we close the chapter, lend us your ear. The Prime Directive's calling, so let's persevere. The Prime Directive, where the laughter's alive. Society's reflections, let's help each other thrive. Politics and culture.